Hi, I'm Lisa Barrett, and welcome to the Greater Truth of a Woman podcast. This is episode 16. I want to thank everybody for joining us again, or if you're joining us from previous episodes. Before we get started, I just want to address something. So, this is going to be the first and the last time that I actually address this on my podcast or on any of my platforms because I do not want to give trolls a platform. Um, the last time that I talked in depth about sexual assault, I took a lot of trolling on two different platforms, um, where people were saying, how can we go from being sad to happy? Let me tell you something. Everybody's healing journey is completely different. Sometimes it takes people a lot longer. Sometimes people never get there because they don't get the help. And whatever my guests on this podcast say, this is for them to share their story. And this is also for me to reach other women. And this is extremely hard for me at times, but I just want to say, if what I say doesn't resonate with you, what my guests say don't resonate with you, just slide on, okay? I will not be engaging in trolling arguments on TikTok or anything like that. I've done it before. I don't have the time and I don't have the energy for it. Okay. With that being said, let me tell you something about my healing journey as well before I do introduce my next guest. Over the course of 18 years, I thought I'd been through it all, as in healing, transformation. And you know what? Sometimes something just takes you back. So recently, I have been involved in a collaborative book, which is supporting women's aid. And I thought, you know what? This will be good, But I found myself back in a place where I found it so hard. After it took me about a week to 10 days, and I was like, why is this affecting me so much? I speak about this, I talk to guests about this. And yeah, it's because it was taking me back into the trauma, and it was another way of healing. And obviously, it's another way of being visible and having a platform. So, you people can judge all they want. But yeah, so the book is called The Book of Breakthroughs, and it is released on the 10th of April on Amazon. And yeah, I thank all of you for anybody that's listening on Spotify, iTunes, or anybody that goes on to YouTube to watch us. So I'm going to introduce my next guest. I also want to give a trigger warning because this is probably one of the this is probably one of the biggest stories I've had, and obviously it hits home for me, because this guest has been involved with women's aid. She's suffered a lot of abuse, but the one thing that I love about her is she's came out fighting, and she's come out fighting for every survivor, for everybody that's not willing to talk about their trauma, not willing to get their predators convicted. So, with further ado, I welcome Julie Boy. Julie,
Thank you very much, Lisa, for having me on.
you're very welcome.
My story is a very long story of trauma, like yourself. I can understand where you're coming from when you go back into your trauma, how much it takes you to come back out of that. But it is also your healing part.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to go back in to come back out of it.
Yeah.
Stronger. So a bit about myself is I'm an activist, 28 years for the Survivors for Justice group, which was established by victims of sexual abuse through the Rape Crisis Centre. And we wanted a lot of changes within the system. A lot of victims weren't getting their justice, or the justice system were choosing what victims could go through the system or what victims didn't go through the system. My journey started with the age of 11. I was first sexually abused by my father, William John Boyd. He was given 7 months for me and my sister. She's given me that right to say that she was also abused too. And he was given 7 months in prison for the sexual assault, which was called N16.
Yeah.
Which I hate that word because it's a dirty word. It's a dirty word that would tell me that I was to blame. So I'm in the process of trying to get that changed to rape because he did rape us. And what had happened was social services then decided, because he was our father, he was still allowed parental right to come and see us, but it had to be supervised on their terms, which wasn't supervised at all. Then a neighbour, at the age of 12, going through all that, he was a prolific sex offender. His crimes went back. It went back 20 years. It went back further than that. And the youngest was 5, right up till I was 22, 23. The eldest was 24. And his crimes were sexual assault, abuse, or somebody should say. He robbed himself for a child living. I'm sure I'll give him his head to by my father, but his words to me, always stuck in my head, was nobody's going to believe you a second time. Mm. So I never spoke about it. And what had happened was, it was a shortcut to go down to your mummy's house, because it's named Birdman Jack. And he was named after a reason, because he pigeon birds and things, trinkets in the making woodwork. And he brought me in cigarettes. Well, my worst fear was to hang around with me and smoke. And that's how he got me. Yeah, I was going to your mother, you smoke. But when I used to pass him, and I used to be sick and all, and with my mummy, and mum used to say to me, "Are you being sick? Is there something wrong?" And I say, "No, mummy, her. The wind's touching her, and it's going into my mouth, and it's turning me." She never knew. And it was my wife, Captain Right. So nobody knew until two police officers walked down our path. And she says to me, "Please don't tell me you're one of it." And I said, "I didn't want to tell you, Mum, because I didn't want to hurt you. You'd suffered enough with him." And my father, not only that, when he was released from jail, he stalked us in school. He waited outside school on and someone would go back. The nuns called me a stain, God's eyes. I was a stain, because it was abuse. They didn't mind it either. And they used to pick me all even word. We don't talk for how I be able to order that count. So he was still in that fear.
Yeah.
And she couldn't get away from it. And she was a recovered alcoholic. I'm back on drink. And I really believe that psychologically murdered her. Of course.
Of course, the
Because she broke the children, and she was trying to mend her broken children, trying to mend her traffic that's getting paid.
Yeah.
And her question to us was, "Why didn't I see the signs?" Well, he worked the night shift and she worked the day shift. And he That's how it's getting away with it. And he instilled so much fear. So, not only that, for 33 years, on my 18th birthday, my mum's boyfriend and he like didn't get her out. And I was walking, my friend let me stay in her house for one night. And then I was walking the streets and he'd found her and he said, "You'd come and stay with me and your brother." And my granny, obviously I called her because she wasn't very good grandmother. She says, "Well, you'll stay in my room and you'll do as I tell you." So tonight when we let it happen and roots it for me, the walk on the streets like that. And that was the worst thing I could have done. I'd rather go up the streets because the natives had going with a fella and he wouldn't know that he'd had the relationships. What do you like or weak? What are you wearing that much for?
It's just a relationship you
Yeah, with the father. So he wouldn't know how you wearing that much for. That was just Trumpy and Daddy, making you feel as if you were out of kids.
Yeah.
But I worked in a wee butcher's and I was going with that up that he didn't know about from your side. And he was the love of my life. And it was the first time I ever been happy. He brought so much happiness into my life. So on the night of my 18th birthday, what has happened was I got says to him, I was going out with friends, say boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't making my friends, that was me. And we found the partner in Butler. I didn't text him 3 times because of work and it's morning. He won the fight 11:30. He says to me, "You were can you drink?" Take the married. And wakened up. And he was in reading. Oh my gosh. And he got up his left, nothing and talking. I let him on the clean. So I couldn't leave the house. Quickly, I had to leave the house with a job. And I thought, going to work, getting the food to the baby, and I'll eat. And I said, by that, leaving stuff by me. And on the day I told him that I was leaving, in the butcher, he went absolutely ballistic. And the fellow worked in the butcher, and he says, "They have that truth to keep moving out." So I'm like that. And he helped me up, and I'm on the X. He had to go across the road, blocking his car. And we had to make car seeking really. How I got to night. Oh my gosh. And we drove to police station. And then the police station said to me, "Has he done that?" And then I I couldn't do it. And I missed the first period. And I walked to work every day. Through the fucking enemy map. And I was walking it back every day. Trying to not acknowledge that this company trade doesn't baby.
Yeah.
Makes the sacker baby. In pain act. I'm in late. And I said the department to pregnantly saw this. Oh, so Jack felt being through it. And then I must be so sorry. We're changing any band. What? Who's changes? And I'm sure like. And from there, it's I had a complete another breakdown. So I was in hospital, observation the baby. and I'm in the hospital, and he came up to the hospital that night with I have a clearance, get something, and come up with a TV. No name days, sitting up a TV, sit the words. But this wee nurse must have happened to be watching, that I didn't realise that it bounds for me. For 33 years, I never spoke about it. I couldn't address it. I didn't know how to speak. But it's where just the neighbours and that you tell anybody that thing you have ever explained, I'm going to shoot you. And the fear in my face, because I know that I'm bitter. It was an absolute, I never called him. So I seen the government advertising on TV asking for sex offenders more, because obviously somebody put something to system.
Yeah.
It wasn't like now where they're putting the sex offender to register. It was, they had just slipped in and that. But I mean, really bugs and the drugs. That's a telephone. And I rang the leg. It took me actually 3 days of watching them to go back and directives. Yeah, you know. And I rang it in the guard says to on a report instead. And it wasn't like welcome to court. He left in Birmingham. And everyone from there, and then COVID came in. So we were trying to find ways around the legal system of how we're going to do this through COVID.
Yeah.
And it was, we found a way of doing it. I said, sure, you never turned up here. Zoom classes, or the Zoom classes, or different Zoom classes. We used to are. But that was Zoom where we could back the court. Yeah. So I wasn't allowed to speak on it, but I was allowed to watch it. Until one day I did, at the last night, go back to the judge, no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. You know,
Yeah.
many more times is this going to be allowed, because the exact legal team, like the exact times, just delaying and delaying and delaying. And eventually I found my own medical reports, and I was the first thing I asked was, is I taken? No, about 3 was my check. Because I was unfit for me. What I was fighting for, it's after 30 years was, I had a doctor. Help, I said, right.
Yeah.
And then there's something that machine. That I was able to name her. Yeah. And through my life, I had tropic pregnancies, suborgans, alternate, left part. So what I didn't know was he was visiting me, so that night. And it gave me not a disease, but an infection in the wing.
Oh my goodness.
And that was the reason I had losing so many children.
Yeah.
Not the stillborn twins, but the miscarriages. And it was only a doctor that kept on. About only get 9 notes, I had 9 notes about the abuse to maybe to then there was an infection, and he addressed it. And he says, how did you know what they collect and goes? And I started like, it destroyed my legs where I became anorexic bulimia. I snapped hard. I took nervous breakdowns. I done everything in my life to black it out.
Yeah, right.
Drugs. even that I've done a lot to try and block out until one day I went, no, I need to address this head on, or it's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And I won't allow an abuser to do that to me no more. So what I do is I put the blame back where it is, and I wear my abuse as my armor.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's happened. It has been an extremely long journey. I have been to hell and back again.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Yeah. And I mean, mine doesn't even come close to what you have.
But you still go, we all go through the same trauma.
Yeah.
And that trauma, you're like, yeah. But what I do now is when I go in there, I gain strength coming out of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm in control that doesn't belong to me. I put it on the arms of the perpetrators who have destroyed my life, took my check through the West on me. And, you know, and through it was the hardest psychiatric units being selling the drugs.
Yeah.
That was early dealing with it. And even this day, you're still being managed with drugs.
Yeah.
Because that was their way of addressing it. Where now people would be giving therapy.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get that up. And what I do is I try and help victims, which I've done normally. Taking them in and attract them out. Just put them on the right track and, you know, fast track them through the system and the right system. Yeah, not the wrong system. There's two different systems. And I'll always say, I know where I need to bring you. Yeah, the right understood. The right aspect. I've had women that stayed in the house who have been battering bruised. I've had traffic women that have helped. And I'm proud of what I've done.
So you should be.
I'm proud that I've been fighting out of the other end of it. Say to myself, this wasn't my fault. I didn't put myself into this situation. They done this to me.
Yeah.
And I am putting it back on them.
This is the thing about rape, abuse, and sexual assault. It brings shame onto the person. You're carrying the shame. You know,
I know that for years. I felt so dirty. I felt like the most dirtiest child that walked out there. And when you went into school and nuns were telling you were staying in God's attics, I went, where's God? Why is God doing this to me? Maybe I don't understand. Maybe I am unworthy. Maybe I did ask for this, but I didn't. No. It took me a long time to decipher that. To go back into the charm, to come back out of it. Now, and like I said, I use it, it's my armor. Yeah, I probably walk about nicotine on for 2 LC50s under my arm going, and that's the way I wear my, because it's my stress. Yeah, it's my, and it's my journey, and if I can reach out to other victims and tell them, this is not your fault. Yeah, you didn't deserve this. You have a right to speak out. Use your voice, your thought. Yeah.
100%. 100%. So it's a crazy story. Any story of abuse, but then when it comes down to the people that give you likes, it's another level.
So I'm not leaving my biggest tear.
Your mum was passed away now.
She just passed away about, like I said, and that's the, he medically abused her to the extent where she didn't want to be here, so she went back on to Trent and took him in the rest of the night. Oh my goodness. So we drove her to her. Yeah. He gradually broke her down and drove her to it.
Yeah.
And we're next to my motherless, but she was, when I first met on the Monday, a priest came down to my mum's house. Then my pa chucked him out the door. He says to my mummy, do you know what capital worms your daughter's just opened? She said, I hope she's going to get the capital worms she's just opened up. She's going to put them into everybody's stuff. And threw him out the door. By the scruff, the priest by the scruff at the door. And she was a super power woman in my eyes. She was my hero. And, you know, when I first told her at 11, as a child, and found her and about, you're going to the why do you following me about? She always gave me my full name. You see anybody that calls me Jiggy on my version, I go, Jesus, is that my mom called me? She go, she have your full title, but she just says, why you telling me about, what you telling me about, what you telling me about. And at that time when we had some and she says, he brought me out that day and bought me my first pair of Adidas shoes. And looking back as a child, there's wrath.
Yeah, that's not normal.
That is not normal.
Yeah.
Picking the shoes off for you to wear. And my friend was with me and she was going to me, there's something wrong with you. Talk to me, there's something wrong with you. Wrong with you. Why is he buying you high heel shoes?
Yeah.
And I'm going, I don't know. And literally I'll be something. But that means it's the home and not going right, the guy being shitty. And because they were size 4, she says, oh, I'm not good shoes at size 4. So, but I don't get used to anyway. But she even questioned that, why would he buy 90 shoes?
Yeah.
I told him to send me for school shoes. You can't walk into school and wear 90 shoes. There's something I had to take. And then I told her wear a skirt. But she just had her hand steer chest and hand down. And my sister said that would be better different. It's been up, yes.
Come. And what age were you and your sister then?
I was 11 and she was 16. So we had, because we lived in a outside now. Common Republican area, called North Belfast. We had to get, she'd go and get permission to go to her jurisdiction. So oh my goodness. So we weren't being classed as types. Never took out at least the other day come up and police loved you to go to America. And in the end days it was statement doctor statement. And then they just switched over to police women and had the attitude, same questions, different questions to see if you were man. My mother said to them, any more statements, the only the other day, for you to believe. Because she had to be arresting me because I was 11. We had to go and do that. And this wee woman came in with the waves, made us slow like a thick glass. And she done examination, she says to my mum, inside penetration, secretly. And I remember my mum went, vaping. And I went,
Sorry.
She always says to me, ever say,
No.
Don't ever say
You were a child and he was your father.
so. You're not
If you could call him that.
well. I call it the monster. No one ways doing my court case, so I just call him the monster. And he was a monster. And standing in the court, I never told my family for 4.5 years.
So,
I fell down the stairs and looked my neck at Papa's lonely night. I was in the middle of court case. Oh my goodness. My partner went to me, how did you keep that away from us? You were going to court
Yeah.
on your own and facing him in a court when we did get him into court.
Yeah.
So what had happened was he was in the case, gets convicted last year of rape.
Just for yourself.
Yeah. And that was on the 18th birthday. And it took me 32 years to even straight. So it's been in newspapers, but I never just told it. My family told that part.
Right.
So I had to say, tell her, please stop. Because I didn't want to do this, that. I didn't want to talk about that. And I wanted to laugh tonight. Most of it didn't happen. It didn't just, I felt it was so,
Scream, you say you wanted to detach from it.
yeah,
And in your body.
and everything.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I see now, I got from the doctor text and it didn't know this time.
Yeah. Do you think that's what flipped the switch for you? Just
Well,
that?
it was to get really, in all honesty, it was to get my daughter a name. I wasn't fighting for me because I'd already been through that trouble.
Yeah.
I had the strength then. Now I'm ready for you.
Yeah.
You know,
You're ready.
you have to
act.
your actions. You have to
Take responsibility.
yeah, your actions. And I was ready. So when my family did find that doctor 4.5 years, because what had happened was he was arrested in Birmingham and brought back to Belfast. And the judge let him out and he held up my court case 2.5 years, just by going back to England. So that was 2.5 years of taxpayers' money. Because you have the highest barristers on the law, you're fighting your case, had two great value and anyway, two great barristers because if we did ones like and the one court cases with women, yeah, they need to be the only ones that thought for victims. And my barrister says that I read dramatic, it's broke my heart. It was the hardest medical. And I then read it in it. From the set, and I know I had straight that said a heart for me as well. And I didn't even know what was in all the else where I was as a child. Yes. That's a little murder. And that's who he was taken for. But he tried everything in the book. And speaking of everything, he 5 barristers and he changed them every penny. Hold on. It took the judge to turn around and say, this is your last. So you stay with these barristers. We'll be getting no more. Because he knew what he was doing. And then he was acting as if he was deaf. And then he was acting that he couldn't hear the court. So he had to then get an interpreter it. And I'm going, like he's not even dead, you know.
Yeah.
When I first seen him in the court, he didn't look his age. He was really, really young and very well dressed. And then gradually he was just, you know, then up when he was getting convicted, he was brought in the wheelchair. Oh, sweet. you know, so it was everything in the book. And I went, where do I fit in here? Because when I go next through about a courtroom, his wasn't.
Yeah. I know it probably wouldn't give you any help, but did he even show any remorse?
No, he did not indeed. He still denied it when the judge was saying, telling on the night of your 18th, your daughter's 18th birthday. Well, the judge left me hanging in a court of law because his deliberation was, you raped your daughter on the night of her 18th birthday. She fell pregnant and ended up in a psychiatric unit straight in last month. And I went, what did he just say? There was no real victim impact statements like me and my sister done.
Yeah.
And that takes them back to, you know,
Being heard.
being listened.
Yeah.
And heard as well. Yeah. Because we can be listened to but not heard, or heard but not listened to. And I felt as if he's just said you in a court up, and he still denied it. He still said I was a lie. And it was there in black and white.
And your sister's statement was there too.
So what had happened was after 4.5 years of, because I fell down the stairs over that in the pandemic, running up the stairs, part of the flips, and it caught me head of the stair and flipped me in the air and came down the stairs, broke 200 breaks in my neck.
Oh.
Mess. And we consult with him in a hospital for 2 days. So I lay in the bed, but massive pain. And on the 3rd day, I went to the party, they bring me the hospital. And on the way down, apparently I was squealing. I don't remember, because once I got to the hospital and they bring me into triage, there was all these people around me. And when I got to see my consultant, he calls me Kathleen, right? And I go, you just call me Kelly. Because if you don't laugh, you cry.
Exactly.
And I says, tell him I from the finished business. And that's why I'm still living. And he went, you shouldn't have survived that. And he ran, I survived that. And then cars down on me in the town. Then also need a factor. So that was another impact. And I lay on the ground and we've had rain coming out in court case. Bridget got bags to it on an ambulance. And the consultant says the shock of the ground should have shocked Judy, and I went, it shocked me up. I says, my police officer, he lay with me because he kept back and spinning the nigger consciousness, obviously. And I says, you took 3 bangs to your head. And when they looked at it and CCTV, he says to me, you could have barrel 3 flat that he makes an hour. And that looked like. So he didn't even feel for a bang, you know, but I have a good, if I didn't laugh, it's part of my mechanism.
You're coping.
My coping, yeah. I'd rather see people laugh than cry because I'm a rubbish.
Yeah.
For the people that have hurt me. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting minutes and my tears no more. I'm getting minutes of my anger.
Yeah.
My pain. I suffer that because I address that every morning. First thing in my mind, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Second thing in my mind is I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
And I bought the great snacks and not road dogs. I'm going to survive today.
Yeah.
Today it's going to be a good day for me. Even if it's dark, I'm going to get through this.
Day by day.
Now I'm on it, hard by hard, whatever it takes for you to survive that, then you're surviving.
Yeah.
And I refuse to be called the victim anyone, because
you know that's it. What you're doing is not victim mentality. What you're doing is fighting to bring women.
I'm 28 years an activist. What 10 down the street. on the very same things that we are asking for today, which is conversion control, sexual abuse, murder, did you say sexual abuse? Rape, and stuff. So there's 5 subjects that need to be addressed, 5 subjects that are still going on today. That the government are not listening to victims, because after 28 years and you're still fighting the same thing, still not the same about it, there's a failure in your system. There's not a failure in the people that's helping the victims. It's a failure in your system.
Yeah.
Because it's taken too long for your laws to get to Northern Ireland. It takes 5 to 8 weeks before that can come in, and then it has to go to the Ireland Parliament.
Yeah.
So that could take up to another 3 years. So we as victims have a right to be heard.
Yeah.
Have a right to have our voice. Have a right for things to be changed, because you are not sitting down with us and listening to us.
Yeah.
I spoke to the commissioner as well after my court case about things that needed to be changed and about why the victim impact statement was not read in court. Was my first thing, because that judge left me hanging in a court long. I felt, you've just blamed me.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
I feel really dark. And even my police officer, because through that whole case, I only had the PPS and the police holding me up.
Yeah.
And these guards that ring me every morning to make sure that my mental health was good was the only people that night.
Unbelievable.
And there was times in that Lisa I hadn't.
Yeah.
You know, this was all about him. He's now absconded back the end and just going to hold that my court case up again. Him and more solicitors as he's going to go through. But yet my whole life was straight out in the court of law.
Yeah. Poked through and,
You know, me being an activist, me being abused by other abusers. Are you sure she's getting up right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was telling how to select
defense. Yeah.
You know, maybe she's got that wrong and it was the other abuser, and he's trying to blame that the other abuser is now dead. And I went, and the water going and trying to dig him up, because his ashes are scattered all up in the mountain where he's trying to look down on his victims. And he, after the other abuser, Jack McGarry, after he got out of jail, he went to an old Hope Carl, and he liked to London on it.
There was media coverage, a lot of media coverage about that too.
Yeah. Where the Carl home didn't know that he was a prolific sex offender, what his crimes were, and I don't believe that if any of them Carl homes are taken in any of them people, they should be made aware of their prolific sex offender. They need to be watched, because they don't stop.
No.
They don't stop but one.
No.
And I'm sure in Birmingham, he's heard of it. I truly believe
I was just about to ask that. Is there any evidence? I know
the police says no, but West Midlands police are doing their investigation, and they'll not know.
Yeah.
That was the other thing that I could brought to attention of information. Why couldn't I know? Because I would like to then support that victim.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through it, and would his previous to get brought in their court case, his
Yes.
to get on coming from,
Yes.
and the answer was no. So his previous wasn't brought into my court case there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was only until the end when he admitted, when he said, like, not only my sister was my witness, because in my statement that I told the police I went to a safe fine. I didn't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring anybody open anybody's wounds. I didn't want to bring anybody into it that was hurt. So I was doing up my own. But my sister then made the statement because it was her asylum that she took me in. And she knew all about the pregnancy and she knew all about the abuse.
And he was given 7 months.
He was given 7 months the first time and he was given 7.5 years on the plenty. So, yeah, I lost you. And he'd only do half that for 50% donation. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
So he's not 2.5 years to the 2.5 years. And like, well, he's on the sex offenders register, but it's for sale.
Yeah. Just great fun. Back into reality, back into humanity, back into normal life, you know, with children and whatever.
My partner said to me, how did you what we got to? And I says, because I live with the trauma of that. I'm bringing it into my home.
Yeah.
And destroying my home. Because I have a beautiful son who's 22 and I didn't want to affect his life.
Yeah.
But he knows now and he's really proud of what his mummy's done.
Yeah.
It's just, I remember waking up Christmas morning. She'd walk in, she built the kids and I said, I'm staying.
No.
And making Christmas stories all Christmas dinner, you know.
Yeah. That's
And just the end and not helping on, save that one, like, because if I move on to it says I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And it's, no, you don't.
yeah.
I only give you the tributes. You done the work.
Yeah. You showed her the way.
You
Showed her the light. And as we said yesterday, Mum's fun, like this obviously is your purpose, you know, to bring people in its the light and to give them a voice. I mean, to show them that it is okay. And after, 33 years?
33.
They could be convicted of these crimes.
Oh, that's it.
And, you know, Julie's story is all over the media, which I think on UTV as well. And what you've done is the bravery is just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I don't think I can. I don't think that I'm just a voice for the silent victims.
Yeah.
And a girl who wrote me a poem that broke my heart.
Well, it nearly started me before
And that's where it cut me off, that I knew that she was still in her home, being abused. And I needed to be her voice. And that's what kicked me off.
Yeah.
Being the voice with the silent victims. They used to have a voice.
Yeah.
And the channel that is up to you, but I will support you. I will go to court cases with you. I'll be there every step of the way. And I can get you help and support through organisations that work on these. Because not every organisation
Will stick, yeah. There's certain
there's
ones.
only certain ones.
Yeah.
And you get the one the right path.
Yeah. You've done a lot of work with Women's Aid yourself.
I have.
And
Victim support, Women's Aid,
yeah.
the whole not. I can work.
I had a phone call with Women's Aid on Thursday, Friday. Obviously because of the collaboration to do with the stuff. And they were talking about statistics and we're donating to Women's Aid, ABC, the Antrim, Belfast, or sort of the greater, the other areas. And I think the statistics for last year was like 1,400 bigger, you know, and that's not a big area to cover. 1,400 to win. This is like,
And there was, because I had the statistics on that as well, so. And there wasn't as many of them that went through the court system.
Yeah.
So you think of 1,400 women who have been sexually assaulted
Yeah.
or abused. Not all of them go through the court system.
No, I know.
There was like something like 43% or 3/4 went through the court system.
Yeah.
That's a low percentage.
I know.
And we should have a court system where certificates and abuse cases
Yeah.
that you can get them fast track straight through the system. I mean, 5 years for me with COVID coming was a long time.
Yeah.
And an extremely hard journey for me to go to the Gabbard. At times, only I had an amazing PPS worker that I absolutely tortured. She always got my wrath. But me and her has been brilliant friends, and she will always be an amazing part of my life for getting me through that. And I had one amazing police officer that held me up by the scruff. Because every time I was thrown in the tide of the school, her act, you're the strongest woman I know, you're not done in time.
Yeah.
That. And I'd like, ready to pay, and they helped me the whole match later.
Yes.
And I'll always find that place, and I can't for the dead meat, you know.
Yeah. The media coverage, I mean, I'm sure that couldn't have been easy. It couldn't have been easy.
But again, I needed to reach out to down. In fact, it's still at them saying that at me was typically 33 years not speaking, not talking, but I just living every day. And every day it hurt my heart.
Yeah.
That I couldn't get my child in you. That I couldn't put her to rest. Because they asked me, where are you going after this? And I went up to the children's grave. They died in the daughter. And as you know, last one's at 37.5 weeks. Twin boys, Eric, Joseph and Joshua. And I just go and sit. That's my happy place.
Yeah.
That's my place where I get my strength. I just tuck them in mommy and the kids to do it all and still can't accept.
Yeah.
I'll probably never accept that. I just learned to live with that. But I got buried with a cup of tea and that cigarette. My mom had a cup of tea and a cigarette. And also had a cup of tea and me smoke. And there's days that probably I've been crying and a girl walked past and she says to me, daughter, are you all right? And I was like, Mrs. saying that crowd for my things. I'm just going to be a really hard time. And, you know, I probably went up very nice where I gained strength.
Yeah.
Well, please take my number. She says, and ring me and let me know you're all right. And I says, well, I promise you, well, I said, but I'm not crying because of the kids. I said, it's because this is like sort of kind of where I go to gain my strength serving for you. And I'm just having a really shitty day at the minute. I just need to speak to my mommy and speak to my kids. Move on. That's where I went. Buried her, gave my dog and everything. And that's, and the whole way through it, not only they call me everything on this, only call my mommy everything on the stuff. And I bet she's not even here to defend herself. So I had to defend it. Be her strength.
Yeah. Yeah, but you were down up for it. You were down.
But I left him straight, yeah, and he wouldn't make me straight, yeah.
Of course I wouldn't.
I'm on turned away and when he met us and was down the court. So at one time I remember getting an email and I'm not good with technology. years ago, that techno, but definitely not technology now. And had an email from who did it in court in Ireland. Well, you never seen anybody jump out of the bed with a broken neck and put their tongue on their legs and get their clothes sorted out, because I've really thought it was sleeping. My wee boy tells me. So I'm organising my outfit in the morning of bed, and was getting the earrings out and then putting them into the side and putting the necklace out and putting up the side. So all I've got to do in the morning is go up and do a wash down and scrub my teeth, brush my hair, and out the door from the main event.
Yeah.
And my partner was going, why are you putting time on at 11 o'clock at night? And I'm going, I have to go somewhere tomorrow. But I could tell him to where I was.
Yeah.
And he went, do you know you're really, really sick? You have a broken neck? And I go, oh, I've still somewhere to go tomorrow.
I know, funny. Get away from the seriousness.
And then come back, going, I really did do that.
Getting away from the seriousness of it, but like a lot of women will probably resonate with this. Sometimes doing that, putting the fake tan on, giving you a mask, it's giving you a wee bit of power. It's like,
yeah. I
doing
were, so through Jack McCarthy's court case, I went on to be a beauty therapist. So I was doing a course and had passed it, and I'm dyslexic, but I done it. And I'm so proud of myself for doing not even into a court case and doing makeup, and we toured just one ears of everybody's ears in North Belfast pierced, and piercing got. I was only meant to use it before, and no used to go down. They said, so should I be got after I to get pierced ears? I don't know what that is.
whole North Belfast pierced.
All around, I was doing the outlet done that when my I was to desperate moment. Doing the hair and doing the makeup, and she left her convention try glamorous woman, so I come from glamorous women, and they're like, say if you don't put your makeup on and you're a bad day, I'm gonna go over and slap it. Yeah. And my aunt that lives in England, and I'm going, she probably get on that boat and come over and slap me for not putting my makeup on, They were glamorous women. They had nothing but still had them. Put your lipstick on, off, how your lipstick fucking. And it's still didn't. Yeah. So you're wearing your makeup as your armor. I'm wearing my abuse as my armor.
Yeah. Funny, I had a girl on weeks away by last year. Similar situation. It was her father, and funny, that's one of the things that she says that a lot of people didn't know, because she'd get up and she'd put the makeup on and,
not done. And
yeah. And they were probably our worst days.
Yeah.
When she looked like that when she was out her bed.
I was the same with me. My worst day, my makeup's to perfection if I'm going somewhere. Can't get me eyebrows. We're not normal. And it's always the opposite. Me going, see if I was going somewhere. And I needed to be there at 10 o'clock in the morning, because that's when you have to be in the court.
Yeah.
That's when you opened, and you were like, you're sitting there in the foyer, and there's people sitting at you, because it's a Pacific corporate.
Yeah.
And people sitting at you, and you're going, you never paranoid now, and your makeup sitting to perfection, and your hair sitting to perfection, and your tongue sitting to perfection, and but they were very, I have to say, the victim support were very, very good, but for me through that a terrible soul.
It certainly sounds like it, because it's a hell of a case, and it's also a hell of a time frame. So it is, and it's amazing that you did get him convicted.
As like I said, we want to happen,
because even if he gets out, at least he'll be on sex.
He's on a sex offender register for the rest of his day.
Yeah.
And he can't run away from one now. And now that Yes, and I think I was, because my sister held my hand and my partner held my hand, and he was going to, when I was doing speaking, and he says to me, you know, you done 7 interviews back to back, and I went, no, I didn't realize. You know, and I went, I counted the one. And I went, he said this, and you done amazing.
You've done amazing here today.
And he says, I didn't know how you done that. And I went, that's things to say.
Yeah.
I would have to survey. And I got to reach it to let people know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
To talk. Even if they don't want to. There's a register where you can still put your tax offenders on.
Yes. I was actually told of this recently.
Yeah, that's the one I done. So it was an English pilot scheme, but it really wasn't a pilot scheme. It was from the government. We're asking you where you're the perpetrators are.
Yeah,
but there is now a system here in Northern Ireland. I think it was me got changed because I went to the commission. It says there should be a register where people want to tell who their users are, but are not ready to go to court.
Yeah.
You know, and they should be on that scheme. So, yeah, she's going to bring in a new law in 2020, can be 6th, of getting your victim impact statement ready, so you can either read them out to your perpetrator yourself, or the judge can do it on your behalf.
Yeah.
But I hope, Lisa, that it happens, because I think the impact statements the victims do are extremely hard. I know mine was. My wee police officer helped me with mine. 1, couldn't spit on. 2, didn't want my sister to know. And that was extremely hard.
Yeah. Because it's
broke that hard to go away there, and I think that was the first time I really, really cried hard. I cried sore.
Yeah.
Was doing my impact statement, but for it not to be read out was gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, when I told the commissioner, because I done a video thing with victim support after, and seeing our victim support to Women's Aid. But the done from the International Day, and I was explaining how the court system, what I'm doing, how the court system was failed. And because it did fail me.
Yeah.
It failed me by the judge leaving me having another court law.
Yeah.
What deliberation is that for anybody?
Yeah.
You know, it was like he was telling me what I had already knew. But it was she was talking to me. He wasn't telling him or scolding him and telling him, you know, how wrong he hurt his children.
Yeah.
What damage he had done to me. You know, I was young speaker and said, yeah, again. Oh my goodness. And I was just like, and I remember my mummy coming up to one of them, I says to her, please, you need to get me out. I'm facing on my hand, baby, you need to get me out. I said, it's not the case for me. And I had sworn a hostel with my mummy carried me out of the host.
My God. Anorexia control. Yeah. It's the funny eating habits I've talked about loads, and it was the one thing in life that I could control.
Yeah. And I became anorexia, so it wasn't much.
Never as severe as the anorexia, as just as severe. Oh,
I wouldn't have been forward for the times. 4.5 stone, doctors just tell my mummy my organs is failing, and I only started me off for a week. She says to me, daughter, why are you not eating? And I says, because if I ate, and I did, don't hurt me.
yeah.
That was, they'll pick on me, and they'll see the vulnerability. They'll see the abuse, neglected, and I want to be out there.
And when you come out the other side and you see the horror and like the impact that it has on people,
I'm still like that. That I would have that for the rest of my life. I'm not able to blame you.
yeah,
I just wonder the
the other.
on traumatic days and learning that I control it,
Yeah.
not let it control me,
Yeah,
and say to myself mentally, I am in control.
yeah,
You're not in control of me. I have punished my body enough. I have put it through the ringer. And come out fighting, sedating,
yeah,
just sedating. I wanted this a happy life.
yeah,
I wanted, I deserved a happy life, but I wasn't good. I do. I had an amazing partner. I had him, I think my mummy sent me. So, I do always tell him that. I think my mom said, you don't know that. But he's a good man, and he treats me the way a woman should be treated. That's so good to hear. And I deserve it.
you do deserve help. You do. So what's next for the activist?
Probably going back to number 10 Downing Street.
So when you went to when you went to Downing Street, were you invited as part of?
I was invited by part of Amnesty International, and you called it Making the Grade. And it was to do with how, when you went into a station, how they addressed all the emissions from murder, sexual abuse, rape, coercive control, and stalking, how they addressed it. You've heard of multi-agency meetings. Well, they have them in England and as well. And how it would break down the very social services to the doctors, to hospitals, to how they addressed them. And that would come up for a while. None of them failed in every department of it. So we went down to the international with some millions of signatures.
Wow.
Asking for please protect us. Was our showing protect us. You visit.
So that's what's next. You're gonna go back to
Go and see Stammer and maybe grab him by the collar too. And tell him he needs to get his act together because there's feelings in the system.
yeah. And the thing
A lot of people.
the thing now is there is so many other ways to abuse children, not just
Exploitation, I'm more into part of my campaign was there was exploitation. There's trafficking because we're the worst in the UK.
someone a wee while ago told me about an incident, and we talked about it yesterday, but obviously we'll not talk too much because I don't want to give our age and whatever away, but it's the scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And who would have thought in Northern Ireland just you go with forward?
That's it. Exploitation of children. Drug mills.
Serious stuff.
It's very scary. It is extremely scary to us what is going on here.
Yeah.
And nobody's paying attention to it. I mean, I can walk, me and my friend, I can't walk it very far, but we'll walk down her corner there, squeeze up, watching them fire already. Is that I love guitar in it. And I went to them, but it's traffic test. So I, how do you know my that? You need to open your eye.
Yeah.
Do you ever see on we pillars and it'll say open your eyes?
And
That's organizations telling that they open your eyes because of stuff taking the longer in these already.
Yeah.
And the rates were the highest in the UK traffic.
Yeah, well,
And that's hard to believe.
someone told me about
Of a little country.
an incident not too far from where I live, in broad daylight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is serious.
It's true. The things that they're coming here to our better next. When they're not,
Yeah.
they're being brought here to be exploited. And it's them on the non-children. And if that's to pay the trafficker. They don't pay any that. The tax don't belong to the traffickers. But they don't understand that.
Yeah.
Where they'll terrorize their family and that's what they're really scared of, that it goes back to their family and but yeah, and that's for it. So I think a lot needs to be looked at.
A lot does, and a lot needs
Politicians need to get a good shake and shake it up a wee bit.
I normally don't go into politics, but obviously this side of it isn't one of my
Absolutely. We have no advocate
Yeah.
here for this to speak about abuse victims. They do in England. Can't remember the correct name. But somewhere or two. And it's not fighting with somebody, it's trying to get somebody to understand what you're saying. You're meant to be talking about women, men and children who have been through this horrible ordeal and you're making light of it.
Yeah.
And you could grab him by the collar and give him a wee shake to him and to shake it up a wee bit. Well, we have no advocate here for abuse victims to speak out against. I don't want the job, because I would have the politicians tortured. But I think it needs to be somebody that has been through.
I agree. Yeah.
Has been through it. So there's an understanding of what they're talking about.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd love to say, Julie, while I have you?
No, not it. Thank you for having me.
While
Thank you for giving me a platform. And, you can laugh and you can cry and you can joke and that is your choice. But you should sedate it.
Yeah.
And whether that be made in any way, well, that can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for letting me have.
Oh, sure. You were amazing. I know you
I
don't
love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
You're giving a lot of women's platforms of their lives. And that's not discriminating against, that's just giving women their right.
Yeah. Have had men on too.
I'd say happy day.
just a select few.
Yeah. But you have to have them on because
Yeah, need a wee bit of balance.
I always say it's through my own journey, it was always men, women and children. And the Rape Crisis Centre always just counsel women. And then I started counselling me.
Yeah.
And then there were none paid.
What?
Yeah. We were shut down over one pay. They sent the auditor? And he shut us down over one pay. And the wee man that owned the building was a wee Christian man, and he was awful, and he was only guy like this, just stay in it because it was a safe place for women to go. And
yeah.
Nobody knew that door you were in because there was no sign on the door. It says Rape Crisis Centre,
Yeah.
Where you were going, safe house. And there's a lot of women I know used women's organisations because they don't feel safe. And walking in there, people's going and singing.
Yeah.
I know. Do you know what I mean? So that was the lovely to shut us down there for a wee campaign for
You need to start your own.
We always said that
need to start
the women out of the centre always says, but they're still doing their work, but they still helping victims, and then still like campaigning.
Well, I think you're amazing, and what you've done and what you've achieved is absolutely unreal. And if anybody's listening and, you know, doesn't want to get their perpetrator convicted, I mean, I never had mine convicted, doesn't mean you can't talk. So it doesn't. And
You can still ring the police and get report their name, because it needs to know they're on the system.
yeah. And I just want to say, I said earlier at the start, the collaborative book, the Book of Breakthroughs, is out on the 10th of April, and all proceeds from our book are going to Women's Aid, and just lots of work that they do. It's amazing.
And they've done an amazing work, and I've worked along with them. So,
And you're living proof.
I've living proof that it does work.
Yeah.
They do. Oh my God, above and beyond.
Yeah.
The wins, and they don't get enough credit for what they do.
They don't. They're amazing. Yeah. So I think I'm going to try and get one of them on next. If they'll join me. But Julie, it's to be amazing.
Thank you.
You're such a brave one. Such a brave one.
Thank you very much. And there's all the time.